Hey there, Scoobies. We've made it to The Pack, and the halfway point for Season 1. I've mixed opinions about this episode, but more than any other to this point, I feel we are finally getting some meat on the bone. We begin at the zoo for a nice change of pace, and the bullies, make some very vanilla comments at Buffy. The bullies, or the Pack, continue on to a weaker prey, and we get a show of force from Principal Flutie.
I've had it up to here with you four.
I didn't really pay much attention to this on previous watches, but it makes sense when you consider what's coming. For Xander, however, this shows off one of his more positive traits.
Yeah, well, I better extract labs before.
I'll handle it. This job doesn't require actual slaying.
This is one of those times I see Buffy's heart represented in him, running in to save someone else, stepping up to unfavourable odds to do what's right. The Pack all stare at the bad prop and are possessed by the hyenas. Interestingly, with the exception of Xander, there won't be much change in the personas of the others. At the Bronze, Buffy references Willow's Xander obsession.
Well, I'm not constantly monitoring his health, his moods, his blood pressure.
130/80.
You got it bad, girl.
While Willow references Buffy's Angel obsession. Buffy tries to deny the attraction while simultaneously wearing his jacket.
And for a dangerous and mysterious older man whose leather jacket you're wearing right now?
Thanks, Willow. Xander shows up acting strangely. Willow takes his off behaviour to be some fault of her own, and Xander's line here,
Did I do something?
What could you possibly do? That's crazy talk.
could be taken one of two ways. On the one hand, it's the possessed spirit using language that could be belittling. She's so far beneath him, what could she ever do that would be of any impact to him? But it can also be taken as, what could she ever do wrong? Their friendship is above it. The tone is obviously more of the former, but I like to believe that part of the real Xander might still be inside fighting to get out. His new friends come in and act pretty much the same. The next day we meet Sunnydale's new mascot. Mr. Flutie tries to make Little Pig out to be more fearsome.
He's so cute.
He's not cute. No, he's a fierce razorback.
Perhaps he's reflecting on poor little Herbert. Also, unfortunate as the pig's fate is, it also will be reflecting Mr. Flutie's. At gym, they are playing dodgeball. Hyenas are supposedly known for preying on the weak. Notice how they turn on their own teammates rather than take on Buffy. As badass as they think they are, she's the apex predator. Willow tries to talk to Xander, who takes the opportunity to hurt her feelings before the gang go in search of some lunch. Buffy surmises that there is something wrong with Xander, while Willow wallows. Buffy takes it to Giles, who has some keen insight.
It's bad, isn't it?
It's devastating. He's turned into a 16-year-old boy.
Buffy's reluctance to accept Xander is just acting out as a teenage boy is refreshing take. It's easy to place blame on others, and as Willow did, it's also easy to believe that you're the issue. What Buffy displays here is a great amount of emotional intelligence. She has seen a dramatic change in attitude, not attributed the change to her behaviour, which has remained consistent, but also not blamed her friend for the change in his. Instead, she is looking for the external factors that may have contributed. Mr. Flutie confronts the Pack, trying his best to show a sense of authority. The rest of the Scoobies are in research mode and have concluded that Xander is possessed. Buffy goes looking for Xander, and we get probably the most controversial scene in the first season. I'm of course referring to the 4 students literally eating the principal. It's nice of Principal Flutie to narrate his situation for us.
Could you? A poor defenseless pig.
The scene between Xander and Buffy is very telling.
You like your men dangerous.
You're in trouble, Xander. You are infected with some hyena thing. It's like a demonic possession.
Dangerous and mean, right? Like Angel, your mystery guy. Well, guess who just got mean?
The school is hell analogy works on many levels throughout the season, and here it's no different. You have the more obvious consequences of the situation. This is clearly attempted SA, which of course would be Buffy's hell on display, and though done to much greater effect later, the components are all here. But Xander saying Buffy likes her men mean, remembering he represents her heart, hits a little deeper, as there may be a little more truth to it. The viewer just doesn't know it yet. To Xander though, this is, in of itself, his hell. I have more to say on this later, but for now, I'll say this. Unrequited love, or commonly known as the friend zone, can be painful. But, as we saw in the previous episode, Xander has some inadequacies about not measuring up that have boiled to the surface. Mr. Flutie's death is quite graphic considering the airtime and demographic. This also sparks the death of a character that was unexpected. I assumed Mr. Flutie would be here for the long haul, so this raises the stakes, if you forgive the pun. The transition to Willow watching the documentary on hyenas is a nice touch, before Buffy turns up dragging an unconscious Xander. Buffy and Willow are very nonchalant about the attempted essay, and I'm not quite sure if it's because, with her strength, Buffy wasn't in any real danger, or whether the writers were unsure how to handle subject matter like this effectively at this point. Giles enters and informs them of Flutie's demise.
They were sent to the principal's office.
Good, that'll show them.
The concept of the principal dealing with the bullies is apt. Flutie's death was because the pack saw him as weak. Generally speaking, Willow is usually seen in the same way. They conclude that the creepy zookeeper is worth speaking to, and Willow is left with Xander.
You were still you.
You know I am. Look at me.
Xander. Now I know.
I feel like this is a turning point for her character. Willow has been shown to be smart, but the deceit shown here shows that she is wise and a little stronger than before. Buffy and Giles are getting the lowdown from the creepy zoo guy, and the pack come for their missing member. Buffy needs to get the pack to chase her to the zoo. As previously stated, she's above them in the food chain. No chance they will go for her when there is easier prey. So how to get their attention?
Come on. You know what you want.
Buffy preys on the knowledge that Xander wants her and focuses on him, knowing the others will follow. Back at the zoo, Giles is getting knocked out, and Willow seems to have lost her previous guile. The zookeeper takes back the possession, and Xander, free of it, immediately jumps in to save Willow. Buffy knocks him into the hyena pit, and the day is saved. As we come to learn, Xander was aware of his actions. His line to Giles even shows his regret of those actions, despite not having any control. The fact that he knows and doesn't say gets a lot of ire from the community, and is often referenced when discussing whether or not Xander takes responsibility for his actions. I personally disagree in this case. He does broach the subject.
I didn't do anything else. Did I around you guys anything embarrassing?
It is Buffy and Willow that decide to let him off the hook.
Nah.
Not at all.
They give him the out. They could have easily used this opportunity to lambast him or tell him, but they don't. So here's another hot take. As mentioned before, the analogy that school is hell had both consequences for Buffy and Xander. So here's the other part to Xander's. He remembers everything. Eating the pig, attacking Buffy, everything.
Shoot me, stuff me, mount me.
SA is about control. It's about an act of defilement of one's body. Then so too, although in a slightly different way, Xander is a victim. He was forced to do things outside of his control, and not just the assault. He was forced not only to admit to knowing about Willow's feelings for him, but forced to use them against her. In many ways, it seems like the gang returned to a status quo at the end, but in reality, this is the changing point for them.
Good, this game is brutal. I love it.